Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative is speaking to David Rysdahl about No Exit, which of course you can watch now on Hulu. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh man, pleasure. I love your energy. You're just so welcoming already.
Well, it's exciting. We're talking about a movie that has just kind of been, doing so well kind of globally, like we talked about, because it's available on Hulu in the States. And then a lot of people got to see it on Star, Disney Plus, all around the world. I mean, the reception's been pretty crazy on your end, I bet.
Yeah. Like all these people reaching out who I haven't talked to in a long time. It's pretty great. I'm from a small town in Minnesota, and it's really snowy there. So they're all watching it in the perfect storm, perfect way, in a cold, kind of isolated way.
Now, you've done a few interviews, the week of it kind of coming out, the press, like with the cast and everything. Now it's out. Is that mindset a bit different for you as well? Even though we're not going to go into super big spoilers because we want people to enjoy it, but it's interesting, right? Like the different kind of,
You make something and then all of a sudden it's not yours anymore. Now it's cultures. It's anybody else's reaction to it. It's like the same way when I watch a movie that I care about that had nothing to do with making it. I feel like it's mine, Now this movie, it was all of the crew and the cast, this little thing we did together, and now it does change. It changes the way. It's a beautiful thing, but it's kind of it's people have opinions on it. You kind of have to let that go, whatever it is, like kind of just enjoy the ride.
You basically make content, it's thrown out there, and it's just kind of with the waiting game a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's right. It's going to do its own thing. It's like in a much less way, but it's like raising a child. Like you do it your way, and then the world has it, and it does its own thing out there.
Now people are wondering, you do play Lars in this movie.
yeah, Lars. God bless him.
Well, man, it's just that transformation is amazing, and you did such an amazing job, man. It's incredible. I mean, the concept just out of the gate is just kind of like you're on the edge of your seat. So what's it like being on a project though that from the start to the finish, it forces you to be kind of active and attentive. Like that's a cool thing with this project.
Oh yeah. And we shot in order. I don't know if you knew that, but so we experienced the movie kind of together as we went through it. I mean, you have the initial read and you're like, oh, that's intense. You see you see Mila, who's the actress who plays Jay. And I remember first seeing her, I was like in the table read, and she went for it in the table read. And I was like, wow, that's intense. I'm glad I saw that right now because it's like about to, and the first day actually was the kidnapping day, and she was fully game, but I was like, this is like an intense, you read something and then you go through it and you experience it. And that was the benefit of this shoot, was we shot in order. So we didn't have to pretend that we had experienced the scene. We don't shoot like the last scene first. We got to like live it through. And it felt like it was like we're like almost on a stage with the audience being the crew every day. We experienced 4 pages a day, 4 or 5 pages a day of material as we trudge through it.
I mean, everyone did such an amazing job. The whole cast did an amazing job, but specifically, I mean, we've established like you did an amazing job as Lars, but I mean, Danny Ramirez, who played Ash, did such an amazing job. And again, I don't want to go into super big spoilers, but there obviously is that kind of chemistry in the film. So what was it specifically like working with Danny on this film?
Well, so we shot in New Zealand, and we spent 2 weeks in quarantine. And on day 3, I was like, I should get Danny's phone number. So I was like, we were just sitting here and we're like, both thinking about the movie. I know he's in one of these hotels doing the exact same thing I'm doing. And so we both had Havana's number somehow. And so we all 3 of us did like this like FaceTime that lasted 5 hours. And that was the first time we talked a lot about, our families. I mean, like, not to give any spoilers, but like there's, talked a lot about what drew us into this relationships we all have in the movie.
Yeah, of course.
And
And it's interesting too because we're introduced by a lot of characters. I mean, your character Lars introduces a lot of people. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but a card game that people might not have played or heard of, right?
Yeah. Have you played that game before?
So to be honest with you, no, I have not played it. I've heard of it, but it was interesting because if I want to kind of like Lars explains it pretty well.
I know. Yeah, he does. If you want to know how to play it, you can just
go watch No Exit. Yeah, go watch No Exit. You'll learn how to play. Were there a lot of card games that were like? Did you guys play? Like, was that a thing for the
actually, because that scene took a couple days, because there was like so many angles and so much happening in that scene, and we ended up. Some of it was cut. I think they just smart thing just kind of focused on Havana during that moment. So that is the perspective we want to be in.
Yeah.
But we shot so many angles and it was like, I remember reading, I was like, it's like a 15-page card game. Like, how are we going to keep that rhythm and the intensity up for that? And so it was like a 2-day shoot. And so we played a lot of poker actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how it starts, right? Like Ed is basically, let's play poker. And everyone's like, no.
And Dennis in real life is a great poker player. He's like, he took money from me and Danny all day, man, all day. Yeah.
My, thriller, a little bit of horror components to the movie. Like there are some really scary moments in this film. Yeah. I am a big fan of, the Dinner Party Gone Wrong movie, David. That's one of my favorite, right? Yeah. And, although it's not a dinner party, but, you're at this rest stop, it's snowing out, and there's these uncomfortable kind of dialogues like that happen throughout the card game and everything. What's that like a little bit? Because this does have a lot of action, a lot of it like twists and turns, but it's got some dialogue that just seems like little simple banter that can make you feel pretty like uncomfortable at times.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like we wanted to really feel like, the audience is in Havana's point of view. And like when you meet strangers for the first time, like they're all kind of maybe even in different movies, like we wanted, and I think that feeling of like, you meet somebody like, oh, that person, I'm gonna have a lot of judgment on that person. I don't know who that person is. And as the movie gets on, you get to realize there's like more dimensions to all these people, for good or for bad. And we wanted to really feel like to live in that uncomfortability, I think was really key. Like, we would kind of play around in and out of character, and for me, it was really important to put on, because I feel a little different than Lars, but I had to feel him in me, and like the hair that when I put him on, I'd be like, I want to feel what it's like to be uncomfortable, because I think Lars is always uncomfortable.
Well, that's his kind of place. Yeah. He's uncomfortable from the start. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
totally. And we understand a little bit more of like where his past is, and this other character who's not really mentioned. He's mentioned in the movie, but not really part of it. I don't want any spoilers, but there's like you want to understand that like where Lars comes from is like a place of like the movie deals with trauma and like and I feel like we want to understand that Lars is like there's
misunderstood components to Lars. Can we just leave it at that?
Yes, exactly.
Did I sum that well? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's so hard because it's out, but I want people, because to be completely honest with you, I've told a lot of people to watch it, and I said just go in fresh, right? Like snowstorm. People like stuck in a snowstorm. That's all I said. And they're like, wow. Like, thank you for telling me. Because you want to go in fresh. So I knew this. Some people might not. This was adapted, right? This was adapted from a book, correct? Yeah. So I'm sure any project you've kind of worked on, when you're making something that's an adaptation of something that was very popular in the past, like a book, I'm sure there is this kind of overwhelming overwhelming feeling and pressure a little bit, David. But I'm sure the excitement, though, overcomes a lot of that, right? Like, has that happened as well?
Oh, yeah. You're like, oh, I want to do this justice. This movie means something to people. I remember seeing Lord of the Rings. I was a huge Lord of the Rings book fan. And then seeing the movie and you're like, oh, I love the movies too. But like you're as a fan, you're rooting for the filmmakers to make the best version of the movie too. So I felt like the support of all these people who want to watch a good movie of their book that they love. And so you feel the pressure, but also, like the rush of energy from all these people around the world who care about this book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
David Rysdahl is a storyteller. That's what you do, basically. Whether people act, write, direct, even perform music, they're all storytellers. Yeah. What excites you specifically about storytelling?
I think humans, I think too philosophical, but I think that's how we learn. That's how I learn for sure.
Well, this is the question to get philosophical. That's why.
I understand, like how, we as humans, like how we just created society, like even, there's new rules that we created during the COVID era of how we live life, and that's a story that we've told. And so I'm drawn to stories. I feel like it's really like how we see ourselves and how we see ourselves in relation to other people, and I like approaching stories that kind of mess with that make you empathize with people you wouldn't empathize with, or take you on a ride that you would never have in your like real life. So for me, story is really like what makes humans like we live in story. Everything we do is, a dollar is a dollar because it's a story we tell. A dollar is just a piece of paper, but because of the story behind the dollar, it's worth something beyond. And our collective imagination is so powerful. And I love playing. I feel very grateful, honestly, to be able to be in this business, which I feel like is a vocation for me, in a way, like of story, a vocation of story.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to kind of add to that a little bit, I mean, I personally think we're in an unbelievable golden age of content right now, and I think there's a lot of reasons why. And I'm curious, like, which one stands out based on what I'm saying. So obviously, there's kind of the writing and the actual stories. Like, it's amazing. I mean, like No Exit, just kind of what happens and everything. It's just incredible just from the writing perspective. Then there's kind of the aesthetic, right? Like what this content's looking like. Like these cinematographers are knocking it out of the park, right? But then there's also kind of the global access, right? The fact that many people all around the world get to watch the movies. So I brought up kind of the quality of the writing, the aesthetic, and the global access. Does one stand out? Do they work together? Is there one you like over the others?
I think they work together. I mean, honestly, for me, the global idea has really affected me. I grew up in a small town in rural Minnesota, which I love, being from there and going there. But like, I moved to New York City, and all of a sudden my perspective got wider. And I became a better storyteller. And now we get to have that all the time. Like we get to watch, I remember Parasite. We've seen Parasite before anyone. I saw it like in August of that year. And I was like blown away. And it changed how I wanted to approach storytelling. And we just have so many masters from all around the world. And one keeps upping each other. You're like, wow, that's amazing. I want to incorporate that. So the culture sharing is at a place that no one could have conceived of before the internet.
But I love, you mentioned Parasite. I just love like the fact that I can watch content from all around the world, and it's the best, right? I don't think there's anything more to say. It's the best.
It's really the best. And the way it messes with tone, and it's like a different, you're experiencing a different culture in a way that, and different, the themes of, class and struggle, all these things, but you're seeing it in a different context that can inspire, like, and open the mind of us, into a whole new way of approaching people.
I always watched international films. I've always watched them, not as much as I am now, because I think the access, like you said, is just crazy. But I think Parasite is going to go down as like one of the most important films for that.
I completely agree. I mean, I was laughing on the edge of my seat and then crying. It was everything. I felt everything watching that.
I have to tell you, different films, but the more you think of it now, I was kind of it was similar watching to No Exit, to be honest with you, because you are kind of on the edge of your seat the whole time, basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge. I'm not even comparing that.
Well, no, dude, I'm just saying No Exit.
That's so nice. Yeah,
but No Exit.
We want to play it in that way too. We want to play with edge of the seat thriller, and then that there's a scene where my last scene in the movie, I remember talking to Damien, the director, and I was like, so we want people to be laughing for the right reason. You want people to be like, because you want to care in a way, but not, so I think
again, I don't want to go into spoilers.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but you people like, can I laugh? I'm like, yeah, whatever you're feeling. And that was what we're trying to play with that, which I think Parasite does so well, of like, you're laughing and you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, all those feelings, which is very human,
Well, there was some Ed there. I was laughing at some Ed moments.
Oh, Ed is so funny in the movie. That's just what we do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when he's like, "That's what you do, you idiot."
Yeah, that's what we do. And then that line, the day of, I giggled, and then
that's hilarious, because that's what I was gonna say just now. When they're crazy. That is the scene where he's like, "You're a Marine, right?"
Yeah. Marine. That's just what we. That's exactly right.
We're on the same page right now, man.
I love that.
It's so great, David. I want to thank you for taking some time, man. This was a blast. Seriously, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Oh man, my pleasure. You're great.
Yeah, so people can watch the movie now. It's available on Hulu, and like we said, available in some countries on Disney Plus Star is what they're calling it, outside of Canada, outside of the States, which is unbelievable. Like, it's pretty cool to kind of, like, your team tells you, like, just an FYI, like, there's a good amount of people that are going to be able to see it right off the bat. Like, it's pretty exciting for you and the cast.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, obviously you want to see things in theaters, but there's like benefits and detriments from, like, the idea that it's out now. It's a conversation that's, I think it's amazing.
But again, though, and I don't think I'm embellishing at all here. Like, there are some movies that are like thrillers and horrors that have moments where they're not, like, you can kind of take a breath and, like, it's just a conversation at like at the police office. You know what I mean, right?
You're sipping the coffee, like,
Not this film.
Not this film.
You don't have time to, like, take a breath.
No, you can't.
Which is amazing. And where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
Yeah, I mean, I just have the Instagram, David Rysdahl. He's looking at Instagram. I probably should maybe get back more. I'm not a huge social media guy, but my partner is. She's more of it, but I need to maybe. Yeah. Anyway, you can look me up on Instagram.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, you're going to be able to catch David Rysdahl as Lars in No Exit, which is streaming now on Hulu. Until next time, it's David and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.